Hey guys, welcome to episode 20 of Pineapple Knits. I'm Marina, and you can visit me on Instagram and Ravelry at Pineapple Yarn, and you can visit my hand-dyed yarn company at pineappleyarn.com. So welcome back to the podcast this week. If you're new here, welcome. This is a podcast mostly about knitting and spinning and yarn, and if you're interested in any of those things, I hope you enjoy the podcast. I'm coming to you from central Indiana, where I live with my husband and a house full of little kids, and where it is very hot right now. I think we're supposed to hit record highs today, upper 80s. I'm not complaining because I dread the cold. But enough of that, because I think I say that every single week. And I'll tell you though, it is hot and humid today. If we had a pool, I would be in the pool because it is really hot, but I'm just kind of soaking it up so it coasts me through February, because it was really cold here last winter and I am not looking forward to that again. But anyway, let's just go past that. I am so excited, you guys. I am so excited because my children's sports season is over. Yes, that's right. We need to just pause for a moment because I have been looking forward to this day for many weeks. Yes, this is a big deal in my life because I just freed up about 5 days a week. I'm not kidding. No, that's not true. I have freed up 4 days a week and the weekends, both days on the weekends. That's right. I am so happy. Nothing can bring me down this week because I am so excited about that. So many hours sitting in those fields. I'm very excited. So I'm just going to put that out there. It's a good week, you guys. It is a really good week. And I also drew for my giveaway, my 1,000 subscriber giveaway. I'm going to go ahead and show you what I was giving away and announce the winner. I forgot to show these last week on the podcast because I was still doing 7 days a week of sports, but that's okay. This is what I'm giving away. I am giving away a really cute neon mini set from Pineapple Yarn. They are sparkly. I don't think you're going to be able to see that, but it's a very cute set. I have several of these still in my shop. So I'm giving away this. I'm also giving away a skein of this yarn. It's called Tequila Sunrise. This is really fun for a pair of socks. It makes mini stripes, or sorry, micro stripes, just the way it was dyed. It is a really pretty kind of half and half neon skein. It's really pretty. And also a Pineapple Yarn enamel pin. And I put all of the comments into random number generator, and the winner was comment number 15, and her name is Kim. I've chatted with her before, so I was really happy to be able to give her these yarns. So congratulations, Kim. I left you a comment on last week's podcast, so if you could get in touch with me either via my store or my email address, which I left in the comment, I would appreciate it so I can send that out to you. And thanks to all of you for subscribing. I really appreciate it and enjoy chatting with you every week. So I want to start off with what I'm wearing and what I have on my dress form. On my dress form this week, I actually have a finished object. This is the project that was inspired by the Astoria cowl by Peony and Thyme, and I really love this. I think that it's styled so pretty. That's what really caught my eye. It's an extremely simple project, but the styling of it was so cute when I saw this pattern on YouTube. So I'm going to go ahead and take this off, and so you can see how it was constructed. Like I said, the construction of this is so simple. This would be a very good project for a beginner, or if you just kind of want a mindless knit. It is basically a long scarf of chunky weight yarn, and it's garter stitch, so it's just knit, knit, knit. I want to show you guys this unbutton though, because it is so pretty. This is my first hand spun project I ever finished. I spun this on my drop spindle using a rainbow roll from Noro, and it is pencil roving, and it I'm trying to think, it's different from top, okay, because if you look really closely at all the fibers, they're kind of just jumbled every which way, which makes a really nice woolen type yarn, which means that it's very airy, very lightweight. And I was surprised when I was done with this scarf, because it's extremely lightweight for the bulkiness of it. So that's really nice. It's very, very warm. So what I did basically is I blocked this. Let me show you this first. I actually put buttonholes here at the bottom, and I did not look up the technique before I started the podcast. I don't know exactly. I'll put them in my show notes before or below. I don't remember exactly what this technique is called. Basically, you are casting off a few stitches and then casting on a few stitches in the same row to make a buttonhole. This is not a knit two together, like a yarn over knit two together type hole. This is made for extremely large buttons, and I love this type of buttonhole. It just looks super tidy. My buttons are on the bottom of one of the ends, and so how this works is that this is actually buttoned at a right angle like this. I don't know if you can see that. Kind of. But I want to show you these buttons. These are really cute. I was thinking of getting some wooden buttons or something, but I popped into Hobby Lobby today and found these there, and I thought they were really pretty because they look ceramic. I don't know if this is even showing it, but the backs are really pretty too. I just thought these were some really cool buttons. They're actually plastic, and you wouldn't know. They look really, really pretty. They're really glossy. And yeah, so I just sewed those on real quick. I really loved this project. I guess the downside to it is that it is, I would like to have it a few inches longer, which is impossible because I used all of the yarn. I mean, I was definitely playing yarn chicken at the end, and I barely made it. So, which isn't a big deal because it's garter stitch, right? You just unravel it a little bit if you need to. But I do wish I had a little more length on this. I aggressively blocked it as well, so that's not an option. I don't think I'm going to get any more length out of this by blocking, but I think it's really cute on my dress form. So maybe if I had the right coat for it or something. I haven't tried it on with any coats. Like I said, it's super hot here. I don't feel like wearing a bulky wool scarf or cowl, but I did try it on one of my girls, and she looked adorable in it. So someone around this house will wear it. If it's not me, it will be one of my kids, which is totally fine. I'm just happy that I was able to use some of my handspun. This is, like I said, the first handspun that I finished, and it's also the first project that I have knit out of some of my handspun. So it's kind of a special project. But I was really happy with this, and yeah, happy to have freed up a project, and so I can knit with some more of handspun. The other thing that I am wearing, this is my Impressionists shawl, and it is designed by Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade, and it is a beautiful shawl. This was a mystery knit along earlier this year. It is a crescent shaped shawl, so the ends curl. I'm just going to show you this while you're wearing it, which is really neat. It has a beautiful picot bind off. I showed this over several podcasts, I'm pretty sure, my earlier podcasts. The yarn I used in this white up here is Madelinetosh in Holi Festival. The pink is Lychee Sun. This is pineapple yarn, my yarn. I'm just going to go ahead and show you close up. And then the gray is Stalagmite by Moonrover. And I really liked how all three of these yarns played together. I'm going to go ahead and show you. I'm getting hot anyway. I'll be totally honest here. But I think these are so pretty. And up close, I'm showing you the wrong side. I always show you the wrong side. But here we go. This is just a really beautiful lace pattern. This is fingering weight yarn, so it's just a really versatile weight. But as you can tell, I mean, I am holding this with my wingspan, which isn't huge by any means, but this is a very, very wide shawl, which is great because it makes it versatile. It fits a good number of people, and it was just a really fun pattern. So that is the Impressionist shawl, and I do have those notes on my Ravelry. So if you want to look up more details, that is where to find it. Okay, on to finished projects. I finished this week. I actually also finished the Hipster Shawl by Joji Locatelli, and it is blocking right now. I think it's probably about done, but I need to add the fringe still. So I didn't want to wear it or show you on the podcast here until it was totally finished. I am very excited to wear it. It's so pretty. And it has blocked out so nicely. I think it's going to be a really, really great piece to wear. But I am so excited to show you guys a couple of finished projects that I started this summer, actually. I did 3 test knits for Tin Can Knits, and I've just been waiting for them to be published, for the patterns to be published so I could show you. So I'm going to spread those out over the next 3 podcasts so I can give each one the time it deserves. And so the podcast isn't totally like super long. But the first test knit that I finished is called Compass. And this is the sweater. I'm getting some really funky lighting in here. There we go. Again, this is a pattern by Tin Can Knits, and they released it in their a book of patterns called Strange Brew. And it is a collection of color work patterns and sweaters, hats, cowls, and I'll tell you what, you guys, I am a huge Tin Can Knits fan. I have been ever since I began knitting years ago when they had a few patterns out, and now they have so many wonderful helps. They're so generous with their knowledge. I have to say, you know, for a couple of people to write that many patterns, to have so many free patterns, and just to share their knowledge like that is so generous. So I have learned so much from them about knitting and different techniques, different finishing techniques. I am extremely grateful for them to share their knowledge like that. So I was more than happy, and really it's a great privilege to be able to test knit a few patterns for them. But this is it. I knit this in Pineapple Knits Toothy Sport, which is a non-superwash merino. And it is Makai, which is the light blue, and Heliotrope, which is the purple. The pattern was extremely well written when I test knit it. Of course, I knit it exactly to the pattern as you do with test knits. I did not alter it in any way. This is a size 6 to 8, and it fits my daughter extremely well. She has worn the sweater so much. I was actually looking at some loose stitches here in the underarm, which I can fix or not. because she'll probably wear it out before I actually fix it. This was fun though. This section here was really fun because it is Fair Isle, so it's just one color. Well, you're alternating two colors, but it's not a multi-color color work project. So this was just a really fast. The bottom is a 1x1 rib, and then the cuffs are also a basic 1x1 rib. But this is such a nice sport weight sweater. I so enjoyed making this, and my daughter has loved wearing this. So if you are wanting to look for a color work project, whether it be a small project like a cowl or a hat or something larger like a sweater, please check out Tin Can Knit's new ebook called Strange Brew, because they have such a wide variety of sizes. They have baby sizes all the way up to larger adult sizes, and the patterns are just so well written. They're just really, really great staples, and they have some really beautiful color work projects in that ebook. So this was my first test knit. I was extremely happy how this turned out. I love the colors together. And actually, I should mention, I know I had shown you guys the colors on an earlier podcast. My daughter picked out these colors, so I think she did a good job. And yeah, so that's probably why she's so happy with the sweater. So yay, I'm really excited I could finally show you this pattern or this project, because it's been finished for quite a while. And yeah, it's always hard with a podcast if I'm working on other things that have a time deadline and then I can't show you guys. I really wanted to show you. So this was the Compass Sweater by Tin Can Knits. And then the next thing that I have in progress right now is the Throwback, and it is a sweater by Andrea Mowry. And if you've been following the podcast, I have been knitting it in the round. So let me just get this all situated. I actually have no strings hooked to it right now because, as you can see, I finished the bottom. I finished the bottom ribbing. So all I have now are the sleeves and the steeking. This is a cardigan. It's knit. It's supposed to be knit as a flat project. So what I'm doing, I have modified the pattern slightly so it's knit in the round, just because it's faster, because it's color work. And I have never steeked anything, and I've wanted to for quite a while. So I will be following a tutorial from Tin Can Knits. It's called Steek. I linked it down below in my show notes. And yeah, the colors that I'm using, I'm doing a little bit different method here. So the gray is Pineapple Yarn Glint of Dawn. I used that in a different project. I'm basically just using leftover yarns here. I didn't dye anything specifically for this. And this is a worsted weight. The orange color here is Glazed Carrot. It's by Malabrigo, and it's actually a single ply yarn. The purple is actually the last pattern I just showed you. That is Heliotrope, and this is actually the exact yarn. This is a non-superwash sport that I've held double, and I'm kind of one of those people that's like, can you do this with color work? I don't know, let's just try it. What's the worst thing that can happen, you know? Doesn't work out, all my work is for nothing. I don't know. I kind of just jump into things and hope that it works, and if it doesn't, then I know, and I can remember that for next time. Other modifications I made with this sweater, these little dashes up here are supposed to be closer together. There's supposed to be more in there, and I didn't do that because I wanted less of them. I don't know. That's just what I wanted. So that's the way I did it. Down below, if you see this big gap in the ribbing, it's because that's where the steek will go. I should say this, a steek, for those of you who don't know, is all it is cutting your knitting down. I will cut this sweater down the front after securing the stitches on each side, of course, and it will turn it into a cardigan. So that's kind of the short answer. But I do want to share with you a tip that I learned. I learned it several years ago when I first started knitting. I'm a continental knitter, which means that I hold my yarn in my left hand, and I think that's why I tend to knit loosely. As a rule, I go down a needle size in every pattern consistently. I also have to make sure when I'm going in a knit, from a knit to a purl stitch, whether that's in ribbing, whether that's in some kind of cabling, I have to be really careful, because what I end up with, I'm just going to show you really closely. I want you to, and I really hope this shows up right here. I went from a knit to a purl. Do you see how loose that is? That is my standard stitch. And so I actually did this on purpose because I wanted to show you guys. That's how my ribbing used to look, or when I would go from a knit stitch to a purl stitch. Always. That's how it always looked. Until I learned this little trick. What I do now, instead of throwing my yarn or picking up my yarn and it goes over the needle, I actually take the needle and the yarn is going under in the purl stitch. And how that is, or what that does, is it uses less yarn. And so there's less yarn to make that big gap right there in the knitting. I really hope you guys can see that right there. And so if you look further up here, look how tight that is. That looks really, really nice right there. And I have knit my purl stitch with the yarn going under the needle rather than over the needle. I don't know if that makes any sense. I can't remember exactly where I saw that technique. I did a little research and I was trying to find what kind of purl stitch that is called, what kind of technique that is called. I really don't know. I will look before I publish this. I'll do a little more research and try and figure out where I saw that the first time, or if there is a specific purling technique. I really don't know, and I'm sorry that if I can't, if that's not making sense, but it was years ago when I learned that. But it's changed my ribbing, especially because I enjoy cables, but charts for me right now just aren't happening because of my life. But anyway, I think the ribbing looks really nice, especially pre-blocking. I'm not a perfect knitter, but I am happy with those ribs. So I hope that helps you because I really worked a long time trying to tighten up that knit stitch before the purl stitch, and that was the best solution I found, is just purling with the yarn going under rather than the standard over stitch. I hope that makes sense. I'll try to find a tutorial or a better explanation for you guys, and if I do, I'll post it down in the show notes underneath the throwback. So I hope that helps. But that is my work in progress, and I will hopefully get a lot of this done. I'm going to be doing a little car knitting this week. We are going just on a little weekend trip a few hours away, so I'm hoping I can get some work done on the sleeves. And let me show you what else I am going to start knitting. So this time of year, you know, there's always these little cold snaps that happen, and when that happens to me, I start to panic a little bit, and I think, oh gosh, you know, who has shoes and who only has sandals, and does everyone have socks? Like, it kind of snaps me too, and I have to think about what everyone has. But my son, who is, I guess he's 7 months old now, he doesn't have a hat because he can't wear girls' hats. Poor guy. He could, if he could. But you know, it's a great excuse to knit, and I like him to have little boys things because it's sweet. So I wanted to make him a green and gold hat, and I thought about buying some yarn, but the Cascade, I was just going to make it out of Cascade 220 Superwash, and the green color that I wanted was out of stock. So I thought, you know what, I have yarn from way back. I'm going to go dig through there and see what I have. So I knew I had this, and this is a leftover cake of Midas. It's pineapple yarn in the colorway Midas. It's a great gold color. It's light, kind of a pale gold. It's great. I use it a lot for, you know, heels, toes, cuffs, or in little projects. So I knew I had this, but then I was looking for a really great green color, and I found this skein that I have never used, and it is from Madelinetosh. It's called Lowland, and I don't know if you can see or if this is picking up. This has glints of gold and kind of just paler blue colors. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous shade of green. I love this, and this is from quite a long time ago. I think I bought this maybe in 2015, I want to say, and it might even be older than that. But this is kind of the color way that made me fall in love with Madelinetosh. This is kind of an aside. I love Madelinetosh. I love their color nuances. I love their layers of colors that they put on, or how they dye, I guess, how they dye their yarn. Oh my goodness, this is just beautiful. I really love this. I'm not thrilled with their speckles that they do nowadays. Not that there's anything wrong with speckles. That's the kind of yarn I tend to dye and I love. But this is just, I just love this. I love everything about this. So I hope they start dyeing more of like of what they used to dye, I guess. Because their yarn is so, so beautiful. But anyway, I'm going to knit these into a little beanie for my son. Probably put a pom on top, and I don't know, I might do a roll up brim just so it lasts him a little longer. But this is actually a single ply DK weight, and this is fingering, so I will be doubling this. And I'll probably just do this as a stripe and then put it in the palm as well. But we'll see how that turns out. I was so excited to find this in my stash that was at the I kind of have a bin or a basket, and this was at the very bottom. It was so pretty. So very excited about this, and I will show you guys. I'm sure this will be a really quick knit, and I will show you next week on the podcast. And then also another thing I have been really focusing on this week is the beginning of Spinzilla 2018, and it's basically just a friendly spinning competition. There's teams, or you can spin on your own. I am actually on the Paradise Fibers Flock O Spinners team, and I've never done it before. It's just been kind of fun to challenge myself and actually measure. I'm terrible about measuring my yarn, but just measuring, seeing what I've actually spun. So today I'm filming this on Wednesday, and so this is actually day 3 of Spinzilla. And this is what I have finished. This is from 2 50-gram bats that I showed you guys a couple of podcasts ago. It's from Spin Jones. It's called Riff Raff number 2, I believe. And it has just a bit of sparkle in it. The bats were they were so pretty. They were so smooth. My spinning went so quickly. I was doing a long backward draw with them. I don't know if that's what you're supposed to do, but I did it and it worked awesome. I basically just divided the bats into several 6-ish pieces, long pieces, and then spun from that. And the bat was so smooth and wonderful to spin with. I was super happy with it. So I will definitely be buying more bats from her because I was incredibly satisfied with the quality of the spin. I had a really great time. But this is, you know, it's not completely uniform. I would say it's maybe a sport to DK weight, but I'm just going to show you guys again up close. The bats, I bought 2, each were 50 grams. And it was almost a subtle gradient going from a beautiful saturated blue to a purple. Now, if you wanted to, you could do a really wonderful gradient project with that. I thought it would be so pretty as a single ply going from blue to purple. You could do a beautiful shawl or something. I did kind of the opposite. So what I did is I spun blue to purple, and then with the second one I spun purple to blue and then plied them together so it was more of a uniform color. The reason I did that is because I thought that I would probably make fingerless mitts or a hat from this, and I didn't, especially with like fingerless mitts, I didn't want to end up with you know, one purple mitt, one blue mitt. So that was kind of my understanding. But with 100 grams, I can do a lot with this. So I am so happy with this, and I believe the way that they calculate the yardage is different. So in Spinzilla, the way that you measure your spinning, say you do a 2-ply yarn, you measure each ply as a different spin and then also the plying itself. So basically you measure your skein pre-blocking and then you multiply it by 3. That's the way it counts. So I think with this I got 733 yards, which I was pretty happy about. I think that ends up being almost 2,200 feet. And so that's like half a mile. That's so crazy. Well, it's a little less than half a mile, but that was kind of my goal through this, is maybe to do a mile, to spin a mile. I thought that would be really cool. But I've started on my next spin, so we'll just see. We'll see how much I get done this week. But it's been really fun so far, and it's just really nice to challenge yourself with something like that. The other spin that I finished this past weekend that I wanted to show you, this wasn't for Spinzilla, this is just something I finished. I finished this really pretty chunky yarn. I love how this is just glaring in the front. Glaring my mistakes, my imperfections. Isn't this cute though? I think this is just really, really fun, chunky weight yarn. I loved this. I loved the way it came out, the way it bloomed when I soaked it. I just love the way this feels. So how I did this is I actually dyed a Superwash Merino braid, or I should say commercial top. I took half of it after it was done dyeing, separated it into color families, and then made rollags out of half of that, and then left the braid, you know, the other half of the braid just as is. So basically I was spinning, 1 ply was all from rollags, 1 ply was from the top, and it ended up being this. I had wanted to do, I guess, just challenge myself a little bit and make a chunkier yarn, because I was really trying to make thinner yarns, and I don't know, I just thought, you know what, I don't want to get to the point where I can't spin a chunky yarn. I want to challenge myself and spin all different weights of yarn. I didn't think that I would want to do chunky weight at all when I first bought my spinning wheel. But now I'm kind of to the point, honestly, where I'm looking at purchasing a different flyer and jumbo size, larger size bobbins. Not because I want to do, you know, I kind of thought that those were for more of like art yarn, really chunky yarn. But when I did something like this, when I spin something like this, I can barely fit it onto my bobbin, to the point where when I am plying it together, I'm having to manually twist the bobbin. And I mean, I think that's just the nature of more chunky weight yarn. You can fit a thinner spun yarn onto a bobbin more efficiently than a chunkier weight yarn. I would love to have that option though, of maybe spinning, I don't know, 2 100-gram braids and then plying them together. I don't have that option right now. So that's kind of my dream acquisition, my future acquisition. So I can see myself getting that in the future, but we'll just see. It's kind of expensive. It's kind of pricey. So maybe I'll get that in the future. Who knows? I probably will. So that is it for what I have been knitting this week. I actually, for the shop, I haven't been dyeing any yarn this week. I've been focusing on sewing up some project bags. And I wanted to show you one that I finished recently. This is actually my sock wristlet. And how this works, it's a really cute design. You just take the longer handle and thread it through the shorter handle. There are no other closures or fasteners on it. And then you just slip your wrist through the long handle. And this is the perfect size for a cake of yarn, a pair of socks, or a baby hat, you know, some kind of small project. I love mine. I made a prototype a while back just to see if it was even useful or practical. I love my sock wristlet, and when I'm helping my kids with things or coloring or whatnot, I can put this on my wrist. I can knit at the same time. It doesn't cause fatigue. It's not too heavy or cumbersome. This is such a great little bag to carry places. I've stood in line, different places like the post office, and knit with this, and I have really enjoyed mine. So I am going to be putting some more of these in the shop. The reason I haven't had any in a while is because I've been coming up with just kind of playing with some different construction methods. The construction method I was using before was very time consuming, and Pineapple Yarn is a business that I love. I love what I do, but it also pays my bills. You know, it's not just play money or something. It's a bona fide business that I used for my family. So I need to come up with you know, ways to use my time wisely and that just financially makes sense. So yeah, I have been playing with different construction methods, and I found one that worked really well. And so I'll be able to hopefully put more of these in the shop and have them more consistently. But I loved this fabric. It is, I believe it's a Japanese fabric or Japanese design. And then the inside has this beautiful kind of coordinating, it's almost a calico print. So of course it's waves on the ocean. Love it. But I will have about 5 different colors in the shop, 5 different patterns in this style. Hopefully I'll get some more with my kids' sports being done. Oh goodness. Hopefully I'll have some more time to put more things in the shop because I love these. I think you guys really enjoyed them when I had them before. So hopefully I'll get some more of these in the shop. And then I guess the last piece of shop news that I wanted to let you know is that next Friday, beginning next Friday, I will be having a slight price increase on my yarn and also my project bags. These are the same prices that I've had in my shop since 2016 when I opened my shop. And since then, wool has increased significantly. The price of wholesale wool, it has increased significantly. And the price of fabric has also increased significantly. And I have been absorbing those costs in my products and just going over my numbers recently. I can't continue doing that and have my business stay afloat. So I wanted to give you a heads up in case you were thinking of purchasing something. I thought it was only fair if you were thinking of purchasing something to maybe do it before next Friday, before that price increase happens. So I wish I could have the prices stay the same all the time, but I guess that's just not the way things go. So just a heads up, that will be happening next Friday. And you know, thank you guys so much for your support with Pineapple Yarn. I always appreciate it so much. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to do something I love, and I'm able to stay home with my kids at the same time. So it's really busy, it's really crazy, but I think that's just life. So thank you guys, I'm very sincere about that. Thank you very much for that. But yeah, I think that's it for the podcast this week. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this podcast, I would love if you would give it a thumbs up or subscribe. If you have a comment, leave it below. I always try to answer all the comments quickly, as my time allows me. But hopefully I will get another podcast up next week with everything else I'm making. So until next time, I hope you have an awesome day. Bye, guys.